We 2 weeks ago we started with we were talking about building rapport, um, and then Crayon went over kind of that disc profile or um, how to get to know people that are and bring them. We got to bring them from behind the computer screen to where we can have a relationship and we can build that rapport. And so, how do we do that, especially with internet leads? It's always hard because one, I think we all have call reluctance. Um, we don't want to pick up that phone. We don't know the person. However, when they start talking to us, we do really good. And so, but how do we make that first call? How do we get in front of them, and how do we start that conversation? Once we start the conversation, then we can take what you learned last week with that disc that profile analysis of that person and start building that rapport with them by saying the things that whatever profile they're in, you're headed down the way and thinking like they think, which obviously builds rapport. So one thing we do a lot of times especially in internet leads is we use scripts. So when we think of scripts, they're very obviously I'm very scripted and very robotic in a way. So when we go over scripts, and I'm going to put some scripts actually on the hub for you so that you can look at them and you can memorize them. And then you got to practice those things so that you don't sound so robotic. But scripts improve how we sound in front of people. In fact, my experience when I have used scripts and when I've gotten good at them, it makes me sound more polished, more knowledgeable, and prepared for that discussion. So again, our whole problem with cold calling, and I say an internet lead is just barely above cold calling because those people obviously signed up for something, but yet if they signed up for it, and I know most of them will say I didn't sign up, wrong number, my dog must have dialed that number or whatever, uh, but they put their phone number in, they put their information in for a reason. They were looking for something, and we need to talk to them. Ideally, and studies all show this, that when we make that phone call, we make that connection within the first few minutes, the conversion rate just goes up dramatically. We see that just from the difference of Op City. When Op City is a warm handoff per se, and it would be another step up. But even you guys that have done Op City, and I'm gonna let CJ speak on it here in a little bit, but we those people, the conversation's already started, so it's easy to move forward with it, and we seem to do better, and we see more conversions. But why in the world can we not take that with somebody who signs up for a specific property or a thing that we put out there, but we are so scared to pick up that phone and make that first call? So that's where scripts help. They give us what to say. And when we've memorized that script and we've done it numbers of times, you're not going to be perfect right away. But when we've done it a bunch of times, we become more polished, we become more knowledgeable, and we know how to break off that script and answer questions and things like that. And a good script brings in those questions, and then we ask them, we shut up and we listen, and we move forward with that conversation. So with a good script, and once we know it and we know how to deliver it, it improves our impression, and it gives us improves our rapport, and in fact, it gives us a pathway, to a better rapport faster than texting, than just the emails and the drip campaign. Okay, so when there's a real person, you're not scared to call them, and honestly, if you think about it, you know, we 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 are sitting back here going, we'll sit there in front of our computer. This lead comes in. Oh, well, I'm just going to email, and oh, I'm just going to text them and see if they respond. That's fine, and you actually may get some response that way. but you're not going to do as well with that as a just calling. Um, I got a phone with I talked to Angela yesterday, and she is doing Lead Boost. Um, and Lead Boost is through the bullseye. So I've done Lead Boost, I've done KV cores, and I've done a thing that I pay for. It's called Listing to Lead. Um, Out of all of them right now, we're seeing better results and more and better phone numbers with the Lead Boost. So she got 21 leads in the last week through Lead Boost, and having conversations with two people right now. And she just said, "Now I got to be honest with you, Rick." She goes, "These things come in, and I'm not calling them right away because she's got life happen. You got kids. She's also taking care of her dad, and so she hadn't been able to just make that call right away. So out of those 21 people, we don't know exactly if she could have made those calls, how many more she would have had. But she's having two conversations. She's actually scheduled, had scheduled two more phone calls with two people. Uh, so we know it's working. And yes, she's getting the, oh, I didn't put that information in. Oh, that's not me. I didn't sign that. And that's going to happen with any of that. But at least she's starting to be able to build rapport with at least two out of that 21. So that's pretty good. That's almost 10%. Now she hadn't converted them, but they're talking and they definitely need a house. And then she had one more that she actually talked to, but they were looking for a rental and they were actually looking for Section 8 housing rental. So she would be able to help them with that. Um, uh, so so we're seeing good results from that. But all of those lead sources, whether it's KV Core, whether it's any of that cult where they're signing up, whether you do it on your own, KV Core has given us landing pages and all these things. We can do single properties and that you're not paying for, just putting on Facebook. But when somebody signs up, are we reaching out to them? So today I'm going to talk scripts. I'm going to talk about a script. I'm going to actually give us a couple of scripts. We're going to put them in the hub for you guys so you can see them. You can practice them. If you would like to get together, I would be more than happy to sit down with you. We can practice them. We can do it as a group. And if you want, we'll do some live phone calls and use those scripts and practice. One thing I have found, and I have done this in the past, I've actually recorded my phone calls and then critiqued myself and thought what I could do better. So a lot of when we're talking on the phone is how we deliver that message. Okay, it's the words we say, and I talked a little bit, I think, a couple of weeks ago. It's how we, when somebody the first time home buyer, do we just say, "Hey, I'd like to schedule a buyer consultation with you"? It's, has anybody ever taken the time with you to do a buyer consultation? Has anybody sat down with you and taken the time to show you those steps? And let's talk to a lender just so you can get the information. Uh, they may already have a lender or they may know somebody, but have you taken the time to learn about all the different products out there for a first time home buyer? I would like to take that time with you. It's showing that, hey, I'm willing to help you. I'm willing to take that time. It's not just, hey, I'd like to schedule a buyer consultation with you. And I think that's what we do as agents quite a bit is we just want to schedule. We know what we're talking about, but they don't really understand. And so when we tell them we're going to take the time to go through it with them, and we do that, we should do this with sellers too. Has anybody ever taken the time to really go over doing? I mean, you can call it a CMA. You can also call it an equity analysis of their home. How much equity do you have in the home? Sometimes those words soften that, and the way we deliver it uh, just comes over better to a potential client or a product. Um, so I want to go over a script with you, and then I'm going to have CJ actually share his or what he does with you. So you know, when and I'm just going to use a single property website because I think a lot of times that's what we use the most. Those single property websites. We're advertising a particular property. Um, so in this case, I'm going to use Acre Ridge, which is a house we got listed in Oklahoma, just so I can actually use an address. So, hi, this is Rick Murr. I'm with United Real Estate. That you have interest in 15 Nature Ridge, and just wondering what interests you in that property. So what I've done is I'm trying to take that edge off of them and just find out what their interest is. What's their interest about that property? What's their interest about that area? So at that point, they may say, "Oh, I'm just looking," or "Oh, it's just a dream of mine." I get it, and some of those people we can still have a conversation with. And a lot of people say that just to get rid of it. So think of you going into a furniture store, and when you're in that furniture store, you don't want people following you around. You just want to look. It's the same idea. You're telling them, "Oh, we're just looking," but really, you're in the market for possibly, you need a couch. Remember the buyer journey. You need a new couch, and now you're just out there investigating those things. So you just don't want a salesman following you. So, what interests you in that address? What interests you in that neighborhood? And then go right forward. If they say, "Oh, that house is in a great area. We love it, and we would like, that's the area we'd like to be in." Okay, would you like to schedule an appointment to see that property? So a lot of times when we put properties out, and in this market, if it's under 400,000, a lot of times we're seeing those properties go. If it is not available, you tell them, unfortunately, that property is already in escrow. It's already under contract. Of course, remember the tactics. We look and see what kind of contingencies are on that property at that point, and because that property may be available for another offer and still may be showing. So deliver that information to them. Let them know that we're in a steady real estate market at that price point, and those things sell quickly. The good news is that we got properties. We're in inventory pickup, and you're trying to get them on that where we start setting them up on the property searches. But then you also want to inquire about where they're living now. Are you currently renting a home? Because a lot of these buyers are going to be sellers too. So we don't want to neglect trying to get that listing, also with it. So are you currently renting a home, or do you own it? If they currently own their home, are you planning on keeping your home as an investment, or will you need to sell the home to move forward with your next purchase? Um, so if yes, then we can continue on, and remember, we're qualifying these people um, to to where they're at in the buyer journey, or in the sales journey, whichever it may be. So eventually, we want to let them know what we're going to do for them. So let them know that you'll show every property available that meets their parameters or their criteria. Um, if they don't find a home on the initial search, you let them know that you'll set them up on a search. So as soon as they come up, they'll be notified. And after a couple of weeks, if that doesn't work, let them know that if you've narrowed down a neighborhood, that you're going to go and you're going to prospect that neighborhood on their behalf. Now that gives you a chance to, we call it circle prospecting, but it gives you a chance to honestly go out in that neighborhood, whether it's door knocking, whether it's a mailer, postcard, phone call, however, in that neighborhood, and let people know that. Just ask them if they're selling. Ask them, do you know of hey, I've got a buyer and we've had trouble finding a house in this neighborhood. Are you or any of your neighbors that you know of, are they interested in making a move soon, or have you thought about it? And let them know you've got a buyer. I know that can be it's something that all agents use, but you're not lying. A lot of those agents are just saying that to get into a house. So we see a lot of that with for sale by owners. You use that script. You actually got a buyer, and you can actually say they're already pre-qualified. They're ready to go. So hopefully you've taken them down the path. So you're letting this buyer know that you're going to do more. You're going to that you have access. You also should let them know you have access to off-market properties. And I think we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. You do have access to off-market properties. If you go into RealTracs and you go put a search in for expireds, and you go put a search for cancel listings, Only go 2 or 3 months back, because you want to be pretty fresh from there, and then just make sure that those properties aren't relisted. You'll have a list of off-market properties that you can use. You can get their contact information for those off-market properties and contact those people if they're still interested in selling. So, and there's a good chance they are. At one time, they wanted to sell. So let your buyer lead know that you're willing on their behalf to research properties that are off market, and also that you're going to be making phone calls and for their word, farming a neighborhood that they're very interested in. This is something that they can't do on their own and that they won't do on their own. It shows value to them. So in your script, talk about that. Thing you want to do is we want to start qualifying those people. So once we've told them everything we're going to do on them, for them, is we want to start qualifying them on what they're looking for, what their why are they moving. So their goal may be, they may say, well, we need a bigger house. Well, that's their goal, is a bigger house. But why do they need a bigger house? Is it a family event? They had another child, um, or what? Or in-laws are moving in. Um, why? And the reason we do that is because we want to talk to them on a different level. If we know why they're moving to a bigger house, or why they're downsizing, or why they're moving to a different area, our conversations now meet their goals, meet their not only their goals, but it meets their why of what they're doing, and that's going to build rapport. It's not just, oh, we're looking for a bigger house. Well, here's a bigger house. We want to talk to them on a different level. So of course we want to talk price range. One thing we say in price range is when they've signed up, let's say a house, you put a property out and it's $400,000. We want to ask them, is your price point $400,000? And we want to be careful of our voice inflection there. We don't want to say, is your price point 400? Like, is that all you got, or you can't afford it, or whatever? I see your price point's around 400,000. Is that correct? We want to qualify their price point, and then we want to ask them that home is in whatever in the Blackman School District. Is that the area you're looking at? So we're qualifying the area, um, and then when are you planning to make the move? Their goal again, maybe they may tell you 6 months, but their why is it 6 months? Is it because, oh, we're waiting for a year? Oh, we're waiting till Johnny graduates from high school? Is that the why? Um, well, we're getting that. My job's moving. Is that the why? Again, what we're trying to do is build rapport. We're trying to ask those questions so that we can talk to them on a different level. So uh, when are you planning to make a move? How soon are you expecting to purchase something along that line, and then try to find out the why. Um, once we qualify that, if it's that 3 month time frame, if it's 6 months, if it's 1 year, we're going to start building our follow up behind that. Okay, uh, because if it's a year out, well, my conversation with them is I'm going to set you up on a home search for that area. I know you're not looking now, but this way you can keep track of the market. I'm also going to send you monthly a market update for that area. So you're seeing what's happening month by month by month. Excuse me. Um, so that's for somebody a little farther out. If it's 3 months, well, something. If you've ever taken Buffini and you've seen that bullseye, we've moved those people closer to that. Hey, they're B. I mean, they're 3 months. They need to be talked to more often. They need that's somebody we should be calling and getting updates from them almost on a weekly basis. We should definitely have them on a property search, and if we see them opening properties, we should be texting them with different things about the property, or seeing if they need any more information on that property. So your strategy for somebody 3 months out is going to be a whole lot different than somebody a year out. That's another important thing about the quality. And then of course we want to make sure they're not working with another realtor. And then also if they have any questions about financing, can I get you to a lender so that we can talk to them? Or are you paying cash? Don't assume they need a lender. They may be paying cash. Don't assume that they already have a lender. You want to see if you can give them a couple names. Would you like down with one so you can see all the different products available to you if they're especially the first home buyer. We got to be sitting down and have the whole goal and I'm gonna call it sales, but the whole goal in sales is creating a connection. Okay. Some connections are easy. Somebody calls you, a referral is an easy connection. Op City is a little bit easier. Um, so all these things, but the cold internet lead is probably the hardest connection you'll have to make, but you can do them in mass. And like I said, we see Angela has 21 cold leads and having conversations with two. That's pretty good numbers. And so if let's just take that to 100, that means she's having about 10 conversations with people. Now those 10, she should at least get one closing. Okay. So that's about the national average is 1 to 2% when we actually follow up with. So I think I'm going to send the script out. I think what you're going to find is that these scripts will help you make that phone call, and because that's the reluctance we have. And remember, these people don't know you. What I don't know why we're so worried sometimes to make that initial phone call, but we are. And I mean, is there anybody on here that's not reluctant to make the first phone call? I mean, it's just hard. And so, if we have a script, that's what's going to help us with it. I'll probably find a couple of scripts. The one I've got that I'm gonna send you is one that I've used and modified just personally. So it's just a Word document that I have, and I'm gonna send that one out, and then I'll find a couple. Tom Ferry has some. I mean, there's a bunch of people that have them out there. And you may take bits and pieces from mine, from Tom Ferry, from whoever else, but put it in a script form. Go to Word, copy and paste those things on there, and adjust it how you want to. That makes you comfortable with making that call. People signed up for something. All you're doing is finding out what their interest is in that area. What's their interest in that home? All they can do is say no. All they can do is say they didn't call. They didn't put their phone number in. But most likely they're going to tell you, well, we really like that house. We really like that area. We're just not ready to move. Let them talk. Get the conversation. Let them then start qualifying them. That's it. And all of you all do well once they're talking to you, getting the conversation started that everybody cared about doing. And I get it. I honestly do get it. So CJ is going to share how he does it. Again, you'll hear me say something. You'll hear CJ say something. And if any of you else got to put into it, because you're going to make it your own. And there's not a right or wrong way. It's just how do we do this? CJ, start with Op City, how you get that conversation going and get them on down the road. And I know that's an easier conversation to have, but how do you do that?
Usually when you get Op City, obviously it's a warm transfer. The thing is they've been speaking with somebody else already. So the biggest challenge with that is them having to repeat themselves, you know. That's what I get a lot. But with any conversation, honestly, it's know your own strengths. Be comfortable with speaking to the person. I mean, they're calling because they need you and your assistance. And you can't be egotistical these days. Most people are out there doing their own searches. They think they know more than you about the property already. So you trying to redirect them about, a property they're interested in or telling them something that they may have gotten wrong, it's not a good place to start. So what you do is you just listen. They're going to tell you everything that they know or everything they don't know. At that point, really what you're doing is you're kind of determining one, who this person is, you know, where they're at in their process. Just like you said, Rick, you're qualifying them. And that's key because do you want to have a super engaged conversation with someone who's not qualified yet? Probably not. If they sit there and they tell you that they just filed bankruptcy, is this a person you're going to be able to work with? And you're going to have to put them in credit repair. They're going to be there for a while. So where you gauge, honestly, where this conversation is going to go is from what they tell you. Now, if they're not talking to you, that's a much harder conversation. You have to dig for those questions, those answers. Really, like what you said again, Rick, is what's their why? Where are they and why? Um, so that's more on the cold ones. Now, with Op City, again, it's different. Usually they've seen a house that they like, they've got pulled in, they've already talked to somebody, so you know that they're truly interested. Otherwise, they wouldn't stay on the line. Um, Once you figure out where they're at in the process, you know, a lot of them are pre-qualified, and we're getting more and more that are not. So you got to start having that conversation with them. Whatever they're looking at, they could be looking at a $500,000 home. Doesn't mean they qualify for that. Maybe not. So we've really got to, I basically what I do is I focus on trying to figure out at this point, are they speaking with a lender? Have they gotten pre-qualified? If they say no or they're already transferred over, I don't trust that. I always ask them myself, hey, how are you guys working with a lender? Have you been pre-qualified? No, this is our first house. Get excited about that because that means they're a first-time home buyer. They're truly looking at you to help them. You just have to establish the trust. And that's the next thing is you got to hear the trigger. What is important to them? What's their why? They need your help. So how are you going to help them? Well, first of all, you have to prove that you've actually heard them. So at that point, what I do is I start repeating what they've said, start offering certain things that are important to them. Obviously, if they haven't been pre-qualified, how can we help them? Well, I've got a fantastic lender that I work with. He's right inside my office. I've done lots of deals with him. He's fantastic at first time with working with first time home buyers. So he can really make it a comfortable and easy process. And that's what we're here for. You have to, at that point, establish the value, put them at ease. If you can put them at ease, like whether it's just knowing that you're not this stuffed suit realtor that they see up on a billboard that works for the Titans. Um, you know what? You're just a person, and what you care about is helping them and their family find a new home because whether you guys like it or not, admit it or not, whatever, we're tasked with helping someone make one of the biggest financial decisions of their lives. And we have to do that and earn their trust in a matter of minutes. It's no small task. So you have to have certain things. One, you have to be engaged. You have to be listening. If you're not excited when you're talking to these people, you're probably in the wrong business because they're looking for someone that can really help them get this done. Now, you'll work with people who think they know it all. Just let them talk. Then you go a different route. You establish yourself as a realtor. Well, that's fantastic. There's lots of properties out there. Let's find the right one for you. What have you looked at? Let them lead. Now, if it's first time home buyer, take the lead, make sure that you can let them know, hey, I can help you with the pre-qualification process. A lot of our, like especially with Op City, even Realtor.com, Rocket, all those, they try to use their own lenders. Me personally, I always try to redirect that process because I know that I can work much better with someone that I basically know their reputation, know their skills, know their qualifications, and I can be more involved in the process. The more hands-on you have in this, most likely the more successful a relationship you're going to build with the client because you're going to have more visibility of what's actually going on with the transaction. As realtors, we'll get out there. I know you guys have done it. Rick, you can attest to this for sure. The hardest part about being, what we do is you can do everything perfect on your end, and then we've got to hand it off multiple times to somebody else. So we've got to hand it off to a lender. I had one just recently. The lender and I, we didn't click. She got caught in a lie. She tried to make me pay for something where she messed up. I'm not going to throw under the bus, but that stuff happens. Then we hand it off to an inspector. Then it goes back to the lender. So once we do everything that we're supposed to be doing, we hand this stuff off, and in between, we're supposed to be involved, but quite often that's not the case. So those clients are yours. Now, if they come from a certain person, yeah, they got to stay there. But remember, our only client is not this person, and that's what's key to the transaction. It's also the lender, it's the inspector, and sometimes it's the appraiser. That's often to the lender. And one of the most important ones is title. So Rick has built a fantastic team. I would tell you guys, no plug there for Rick, but use your resources and use them wisely. It's just a smoother transaction if you know what's going on with your actual deal. That being
So,
said, go ahead, Rick.
well, and that, so, the ones that are in Buffini, we've said you need, part of what needs to be in your database is vendor. So title, lenders, all these, not home inspectors, people that you should be taking out to coffee, getting to know on a level so that you trust them. And when you recommend them, it's much better to recommend somebody you trust and know than it is somebody you don't. Um, so because there is going to be a 30, 45-day process that everybody needs to be working together. And I personally like a lender I can go sit down with. I like my clients to be able to go sit down, look eyeball to eyeball, and discuss things. Um, same thing with titles, same thing with your home inspector. I should be able to walk to that home inspection and that person say, "Hey, Rick, how are you doing?" They know me on a personal level. They know what I expect, and they're going to deliver on a regular basis to my client. And they know if they don't deliver, there's other home inspectors out there, do the home inspection. But it's the same thing with lending and title, and that's why new agents, especially, you guys should be having coffee with. I'm actually having coffee with a lender today, believe it or not, and we got a lender here in the office. You know, it's I want to know all the people I ever deal with. I want to know all the people in the industry, and it just makes you that much more credible in front of your clients as you move forward.
Yeah.
So the other thing is remember what, and if you listen to what CJ talked about, it's we're meeting them. At Off City, you're getting introduced. Uh, think of your internet lead as you're being introduced because they truly signed up for something. They technically have reached out and asked for your services. I know a lot of them are just wanting to look and want to get to the picture, but there's going to be some of those that have reached out and are asking for help on this particular product or whatever home value, if you put a home value ad out. The whole goal every time we talk to them is to get them to the next event. So the first event was they signed up. The first event was they contacted realtor.com, Op City, and connected with this case. So CJ's talking to them. He needs to get them to the next event. Well, that next event is either going to be it should be a buyer consultation, hopefully, or going to see a house if it's a particular house they want to see. And then maybe you go show them that first house and then get that buyer consult, or because you go show them one house, you can build rapport there. I don't personally like doing that. I like to get them in, make sure that they really can afford this house. I get it. But sometimes it's, when you're talking to people, you can hear that they just want to see that house. And that, again, that kind of goes back to what Cran talked about last week is figuring out how, where these people lie in that personality and just to that. Sometimes it is going to that first house and then building that rapport once you meet them. You put me in front of somebody, I can build a whole with an introduction, or they know they're meeting me there. I can build a rapport a lot faster and do a lot better than over the phone on a cold call. But we just got to get over that. Just think of when they signed up, they what was their interest in that property? That's what we're asking them when we call them. Use the script or use parts of the script and work on qualifying them to get them to the next event. which that next event hopefully would be a buyer consult. If they're a first home buyer, especially try to get the lender there, because you know something, one of the biggest questions they have is how are they going to pay for this? How are they going to finance this thing? What's, you know, that to me, if I'm a buyer, that's one. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of houses out there for sale, but how do I pay for it? What do I really qualify for? So a lender, to answer questions, whether they're using that particular lender or they're shopping for lenders, try to get one lender there to answer loan questions, questions that you may know a little bit about, but don't know a whole lot about. I mean, when we get to these, I mean, there's 100% financing products out there right now, but do they really qualify? You know, USDA. Oh, this home's in USDA. We see it on the on online. 100% finding USDA area. Well, but does the client really qualify for, you know, for their ratio? There's ratios they have to meet. They may have enough income, but they have too much debt. Or they may have not a whole lot of debt, but they don't have enough income for that area. And guess what? If you're in, you know, if you're doing certain types of financing, if you're in Coffee County, the qualifying income is one thing. If you're in Rutherford County, it's a different thing. So that's why I don't expect you all to memorize that. So that's why having in front of the lender, letting them tell the products, letting them tell what they need from them so that they can qualify them for those certain products is a good thing. That's probably 50% of the conversation, if you ask me, for especially for a first time home buyer. So anyway, we have gone over. So I hope to help. Anybody got any questions or any thoughts or want to interject? Okay.
Hey,
Well, I'm
Rick,
going to put, go ahead.
I was just going to say one last thing is, because I kind of ended early. The biggest thing is establish yourself, not just as a realtor, because, you know, there is a stigma, unfortunately. A lot of people are just scared of realtors. They hear the term and I don't know, they just shut off. Establish yourself as a person in the conversation. That's what I do, and then it works well. I find something that they say that we have in common, obviously building the rapport, but the trust. If you can establish yourself as a person and you get to talking on some sort of personal level, you're going to be able to build the relationship. And that's key is don't look at each transaction as just a deal. I'm looking ahead. I'm looking at, you know, their kids. I'm looking at family members, colleagues, friends. I'm not a transaction realtor. I'm a relationship realtor is what I say. And I tell them that and it kind of gets them thinking, oh, well, would I send my friend? Would I send my mom? You know, that's goes into Buffini. And the easiest way to set that up is to build that kind of relationship to establish yourself as a person.
And as you learn the whys and as you learn the relationships they have with other people, and as you learn that, those should be notes you're putting in your CRM so you can, time you talk to them, you're talking to them on a different level. You know, 6 months from now, when you're talking to them, you forgot their dog name, you know, you'll be able to, or you may be able to use that dog's name. People love to hear their names, their family's names, and their pets' names. So it again it creates that relationship, the trust, and everything. And then you guys do this for a few years and get enough deals behind your belt. Everything you do will be on another level as far as their referral. And you know we talk about this in Buffini a lot. Is we're getting ourselves to that relationship so that they're our advocate and they're referring people to us. Well, guess what? Now we are a lot farther down that road to rapport building because we just got referred by somebody they already trusted, and the conversation becomes people are calling you and you're not calling them. So yes, if you're just starting out or you're not doing as many deals as you want to, be working on that database, be working, take some of these cold leads there, you know, and use them. Don't make it a huge part of your business, in my opinion, unless you want to. But every time you close one, that's another advocate if you've done it right and you're following up after the sale. Um, and PJ is a testament. That's basically all he did was leads in the first few years, and now he's probably his pendulum has switched to where mostly he's doing referrals now. So here's a business built basically just on that. Um, so I hope this has been a help to y'all. By the way, I'm also going to put on the hub a graphic, and that graphic has got a bunch of different places you can go sign up. Now, not all of them are going to let you sign up. Some of them are going to have you had to have 5 deals or whatever behind your belt. Uh, but when you sign up, these are all lead generation companies that let you pay at closing, and they're free. Okay, so sign up for as many as you can. Some of them may be out of business, but we put this graphic out. Oh gosh, it's been what 3 or 4 years ago. But there's Home Light, there's Op City, and Op City's not even taking new agents right now. But there's more than 10 of them on this list. And so the more you sign up, I actually was part of Home Light, and they sent me one the other day. I didn't take it, but and I forgot all about being on their list. Redfin, um, there's over 10 of them you guys can sign up for, and you pay after closing. So most of them are 25-30%. Op City's more expensive than that, but most of them are 25-30%. So I hope that'll be a benefit and give you all, and that's free. So you don't pay for these upfront. You don't pay to join them, like a lot of these companies send stuff out. Be careful of those, by the way. I don't want you guys to pay for initiation fee. They're usually $400 or $500, and then they say, but you're only paying at closing, and we'll refund that $500. I don't think there's anybody on here that fell for that, is there?
Not at all.
So just be careful out there. But these ones I'm sending you are legit, and not all of them may be taken new, but there'll be a few on there you all can get on their list and hopefully get some leads for free. So, all right, guys, reach out to me if you need anything. Go ahead, Michelle.
I was gonna say, from my understanding, Op City got bought out by Realtor.com.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, and now Realtor.com is actually doing seller leads too, as well as buyer leads, to where that's why Op City's not taking any more
Well,
thingies.
they're changing their model a little bit.
Yeah.
They call it Realtor Plus, is that, or Realtor Pro or something like that now. So Op City was a standalone company for a while. In fact, when they were starting, they actually came to convention. I met the guy that started it, talked to him. Op City was beautiful in the beginning. It was great. Realtor.com bought them, and it was okay for a while, and then it just got saturated. And then they went to this Realtor Pro. So the Op Cities you get now are basically, if you're a Realtor Pro, you get the first shot at it. If you don't answer the phone, then it goes to the Op City agents. That's kind of how that works now. But they're not, they've sold so much of the Realtor Pro area, they don't need as many agents, is my understanding. But there's some other ones on here again that do work not as quite as well as Op City, because Op City actually has an ISA that qualifies, or make sure they want to talk. These others, you'll just get a text message, hey, they're so you'll have to pick up the phone and call them. So, all right, everybody have a good week. Reach out to me if you need me. I'm up here for you. Corinne's available. Hope y'all have a good week, and hope to hear some wins next week. So, all right. See y'all.
All right.